Hi everyone. Thank you for joining me. So what I'm going to do is spend just a couple more minutes just focusing on the 50-30-20 budget worksheet. So again, in the previous video, I went through, the importance of budgeting. There are multiple different budget worksheets that you can use. Follow up from day one. If you're using a Mint to track your spending, you might just decide to utilize that budget that is built in. This worksheet is actually meant to kind of go along with that. I'm a very visual person. I like to work with my clients of filling out this worksheet and then using the numbers here that are, coming up with what your fixed needs are. What are the wants? What is that amount that you should be saving and paying yourself first? So this worksheet is all meant to calculate those numbers. And then from this, you can be using these categories to then create the budget within your tracking software so that you can then see where you're falling every month. But again, you kind of need to know what's coming in every month. So just to kind of show you how this worksheet works, and again, all of this is going to be in the description box. So if you choose to use this template or this worksheet, it will be there. I'll also have a link to another site that has some additional information, and it'll just be important to find the one that you're comfortable with. So if we said that the overall net income was $50,000, it's going to automatically populate the other fields. Now again, to get these numbers, you'll want to have either a recent copy of a pay stub. If you are on Social Security, you want to make sure that you have a copy of that, or checking the amount that is being deposited into your account on a monthly basis. From that, you want to, if you're paid once a month, you want to multiply that by 12. If it's bi-weekly, you want to multiply that by the 26 and then enter that in. Now, one little note, if you are paid on a bi-weekly basis, the number, it's not going to be spot on because you're going to get 2 extra paychecks a year, and so there'll be 2 months where you're going to have that third. But otherwise, you're pretty much going to be on this. And the way to look at it, if you're budgeting off of this amount, then when you get those extra pay stubs, that's a way to kind of bump up your savings, or maybe a larger expense came up, you'll have additional money. So again, we put in the 50,000, it says your overall monthly income will be $4,166. Of that, $2,083 should go towards your fixed expenses. Your wants should be $1,250, and savings and debts, so I'll need to actually, that should be in there, so is $833. So from that, what's important is to go through and then, enter in the numbers. So if you're renting and it's $1,200, you want to enter that. Maybe you have, so the car payment, so this is a tricky one. Car payment can go up here. However, you need to really work out the budget. Often I will move that number down and I'll enter it here. I'll put it as a loan, as the car payment. So that one technically probably shouldn't even be in that spot. But here's the other thing to know. If, say, you're living in the city, it's more expensive to live there. I'll often, for some of my clients in the city, we adjust this, and they actually need more of, say, 60% of their income in order to be living in the city. What does that mean? We have to find that money somewhere else. So often we'll reduce the discretionary spending. Why is that? Because sometimes if we have to adjust those numbers, it's, I don't want to say you're sacrificing to live in the city, but people will often, I'll have clients say, I am a city person. I don't want to live in the suburbs. So it's just a matter of knowing your numbers and where's that going to come from. Or sometimes we don't need to update the wants down to, 20%. If an individual does not carry any consumer debt, then really 10% savings is sufficient. So we'll take that additional 10%, and that's where we'll update the numbers. And this is kind of what I mean. You know, we'll go down, do that 20 and 20. So it really all depends on everybody's individual situation. So what I want you to do, you know, for this day for your homework is to go through and add up what is that overall net income. I want you to start focusing on what your fixed needs are and coming up with what your savings amount should be. Now, what I will tell my clients often is, your discretionary living, I don't make them send that to me. Why? Because I don't need to necessarily be looking at everything on a discretionary basis that they're spending on. My objective is for them to know how much do they have, whether they track that. Some clients will add an additional column here for weekly. Some like to know, what is that weekly amount that I have to spend on whatever I want to spend it on. Now, if I have clients that we're trying to come up with or need to find money for savings, or, you know, we really need to reduce their spending, you know, I am going to kind of want to look at that, and we talk it out to try to see where can we find some more money, because at the end of the day, you need to be building up that savings. Now, what I want to show you is I am going to also have one additional worksheet in there that kind of goes hand in hand with this. So this is also going to be in the description bar. It's the Your 50/30/20 monthly budget guide. So what this does is, again, this just allows you to kind of go through what some of those expenses are, and it might help you then in putting those numbers into the worksheet. So this goes off what is your total monthly income. Really, I would probably go off of creating the annual, because that's what you need in order to have the worksheet. But then it just gives you spots for, okay, what are my must-haves? And 30, what is some of the discretionary spending? And then what is my savings and debt payoff, so that it adds up. So this just gives you, you know, a little bit more an idea. And here on your wants, it will give you, you know, some examples of what those are. Now, I will say, and I will do this with clients, and there could be, you know, advisors or money coaches out there that would say, you know, I wouldn't advise of that. They put in here internet and phone plans. Cable, yes, that's one that I would probably keep here, because there are ways to reduce that, or, you know, they're streaming. But internet and phone plans, I don't know many individuals out there that, whether it's for work, especially now, stay-at-home orders. Most of the individuals over the past few months, you've been forced to work at home. There's not a way that you could get around, I don't believe, not having a phone and not having the internet. Now, does that mean that, you know, you have to have the most expensive or high end? No, these are still expenses that you should be going through, reviewing them. Maybe there's a way to spend to save some dollars there, but by no means do I think that that's a want. You know, so often that will go into the the second column, the must-haves. You'll need that. I mean, just to get, especially if your jobs rely on it. So again, everything doesn't need to be set in stone. It's not, hey, 50% has to go in here. Those numbers can be adjusted, but at the end of the day, the goal is based on what's coming in, that you're able to stay within that amount. Because if you are, you're spending within your means, you have money that you're putting aside, so now you have money for future goals, whatever that is. And you're not then relying on utilizing credit, because credit is meant, you know, you have to have it in order to have specific, you know, things, or to buy a house or to get a car. You have to have credit, but you need to do it in a responsible manner. And we will discuss this in a later day. But for right now, I want you to get comfortable with knowing what those numbers are, knowing what you have to spend. And that's what these worksheets are meant for. So this goes in hand with what I had you do yesterday, of actually starting to download to see if were you positive over a month period, a 90-day period? And again, within those cash tracking, spending kind of tracking systems, they have often budget worksheets in there, or a budgeting kind of app where you have to add, the categories, and you want to add what the numbers are. This worksheet here will just make it easier for you to kind of go through it on paper, see what the numbers are, see if adjustments need to be made, and then upload that. And again, as we go through this every day of the challenge, when we get to the end, it will be, a gift from me for being part of the challenge, that I want to take a look at your budget and, answer any questions. If there are issues with cash flow and you're like, you know what, geez, this is what's coming in and it is a little tight, and maybe you're wanting to deduct what's in the savings, then I want to go through some, tips and additional strategies for you, so that we can get your cash flow working better for you, and then, get that money working for you. So if there's any other questions, please put comments in the comment box, and then you can also send a message directly to me. And again, share what you've done. We want you to share this amongst the others who are part of this challenge. You don't have to on certain things, obviously. I want you to be comfortable with it, but maybe you just take a quick screenshot to kind of show, okay, I looked at some of my needs. Again, we don't need to see specific numbers, but again, I want everyone to feel comfortable, and, I want everyone to kind of be a support system to one another, because, there is a lot of anxiety around money, and part of this challenge is kind of looking at that and trying to recreate ways and get yourselves comfortable, so that you can start to look forward, start to look at what those goals are, and really start to build upon it. So thank you, everyone. I look forward to seeing you on day 3.